Somehow, Dutch people got tea from Chinese and they handed it over to UK as a gift. Late 15th century, tea became very popular in UK and they started to purchase tea from China. British have money at that time because Holland and Portuguese going down and British coming up, rising up with their navy, and they have more power and more money and more colonial countries. So it's a good business for China. So China start business commercially and start to make money. And then British understand they can't do this business forever with silver. It's too expensive. So they decide to trade tea with opium. You know opium, it's a drug. But Chinese get the opium, British get the tea. But somehow it never went very well because China understands this is too much and drug is not good for them and all the young people get addicted. And they decide to stop the business and then they decide to trade tea only for gold or silver. And then British understand they can't do this business, it's too expensive. So what they done, okay, we have India and other colonial countries. India, China, similar weather, so they decide to plant tea in India and make their own business. But they need to learn that first. So they send a spy to China to learn tea. His name is Robert Fortune. He's a Scottish guy. And he went to China, spent 10 years time in China to steal the tea secret from Chinese to British. And 10 years time, it's a long time period. Why is that? Why that long? It's not that complicated? No, it's complicated. Nowadays, anything hot, even if you drink mint, if you drink rooibos, if you drink mate, chamomile, lemongrass, anything hot, people call it tea. That's wrong. They are not teas. Imagine, pick a mint leaf, smell, you smell mint. Taste, you taste mint. Put in the water, you drink mint. Easy. Pick a tea leaf. Can you do that? Can you smell tea? Can you taste tea? If you can, I'm happy. I pick it, pack it and sell it to you guys. Done. No, you need to process it. That's the difference of tea and herbal infusion. I'm not saying mint is bad. They are like apple and potato. Both are round, both are good, but not the same. Two different things. Which is good. So that's why Robert Ford is sorry, always been allergic for crackers. He get very excited. And so when Robert Fortune understand how to make tea, so what he done, well, good boy. Sorry. Sit, lay down, sit, hey, sit, good boy. Lay down, good, stay there. And when Robert Fortune understand how to make tea, so first of all, British plant tea, it's a long story, I'm just summarizing it. They decided to plant it in India to start tea business in India to challenge Chinese. The same time, Sri Lanka famous for coffee, and we had the coffee problem late 19th century, and then British decided to plant tea in Sri Lanka because they can't challenge China with Indian production. It's too little compared to Chinese tea production. So they wanted to have Sri Lanka as a tea country too. So James Taylor went to India, learned about tea, and he planted first tea bush in Lolkandra State, Kandy, and then they start planting tea in Sri Lanka. When they plant tea in Sri Lanka, British realized this country is paradise for tea. Why? Sri Lanka is the only one country in the world which can pick the tea leaf January to December. All other countries have season. That's why they make flushes. First flush tea, second flush tea. But Sri Lanka, we don't have it. Every day we can make tea, which is good.
What about India?
India have same. They have season. Darjeeling, they have season. And Assam, they have season. Even Himalaya, they have season.
What are the seasons in India?
It's like January to June, that kind of a rainy season they harvest, and then drought season they leave it. And part of South India, some states do daily plucking, but not like very quick rounds like Sri Lanka. But Sri Lanka, every 7 days you can pick the same bush all year round, which is really, really good for production, really, really good for productivity. So British decide to commercialize it. Why not? This is the best country. So they decide to introduce machines. That's how tea got machines. Before that, China, Japan had small machines, but not commercialized machines like what we have. And those machines, firstly introduced by British and invented by British, and to be honest, still those machines are working in our tea factories. If you go to a big commercialized tea factory officer will come front proudly and tell you, I proudly present you 130 years old, 150 years old, British made colonial time, still working machines. To me, keep it in a museum. I know they're good, but now we should change. Because still we are using the British machines. They're good, 150 years old. It's like milking the cow to me. Whatever they done here, we are using it. We didn't invent many things in Sri Lanka. That's bad. So that's why Sri Lankan tea industry going down. I will tell you why more in later. But when British introduced those machines, imagine those are still working. And at that time, how good that those are. And they introduced the machine according to the harvest. Whatever we can collect from the field, they've designed the machine according to that capacity. When they designed the machines, imagine those machines even now also goes to 6 to 10 ton of green leaf per day. They need to collect 6 to 10 ton of green leaf to process inside of those machines.
That's the
And
problem, no? You can't process small amounts.
you can't process small amount, you need big amount. And that time also they face the big problem. Imagine they have the machine inside the factory. They have the tea leaf in these hilly areas. They have the house. But who's going to pick it? They need big labor force. At that time we have very limited labor force. And Sri Lankans are not going well with British at that time because we are colonial. Makes sense? So who's going to pick the tea leaf? So they brought more people from South India to Sri Lanka at that time, tea workers. And that system mainly done by Thomas Lipton, another Scottish guy. Now you know the person who introduced tea to British, Robert Fortune from Scotland. Person who introduced tea to India to Sri Lanka, James Taylor from Scotland. And the person who commercialized Sri Lankan tea, Thomas Lipton, is also from Scotland. All Scottish people are involved with tea. And anyway, and that guy, when he introduced this system, it's really, really good system for Sri Lankan tea. Labor-wise, it's not that perfect, but system is really good because when those people came to Sri Lanka, they lived in that type of building. We call it line room. Now it's our small factory. One room for one family. Father do the tea weeding, machine operating, field maintaining. Mother do the tea picking. If they have girl children, they need to follow the mother's job. If they have a boy children, they need to follow the father's job. Sorry. So they need to follow the mother's job. So imagine they have no problem having children. They have many, which is good for tea. Why? When they're born with tea, they grow up with tea. And father and mother are the best teachers. They tell their children, you should be a tea picker and you should be a tea cleaner or machine operator. So this is the way your father works, follow him. This is the way your mother works, follow her. So it's really, really good system for tea. And when the 20th century began, imagine those kids are young. They know everything about it. We had the world's best weather. We had the world's best machines. So Sri Lanka became easily world's largest tea producer. And that time our country name is Ceylon. So we become very popular as a Ceylon, as a tea country. So anywhere in the world, even right now also, if you go anywhere in the world, mention Ceylon, they know we have tea. Maybe they don't know where we are in the world map, but still they know we have tea, which is good marketing. So that's how Sri Lanka become world's largest tea producer because of the weather, machines, and British system and workers, labor force. So easily we become world's largest tea producer. But now things are different, guys. Sri Lanka is not the world's largest tea producer anymore. We are not making huge amount, and we are not the world's largest tea exporter, and we lose our position. And do you know who's the world's largest tea producer now? Any ideas? Just guess. Kenya is the world's largest tea exporter, but not the producer. China. They make 2.5 million metric tons of made tea per year, Chinese. Number 2 is India, 1.5 million metric tons. Number 3, 2,000, Sri Lanka. But now we are number 4. And Kenya overtake us in production. And exporting wise, Kenya is number 1 exporting in the world right now because China and India make more and they drink. But Kenya, they export it. So they become number 1 tea exporter and number 3 tea producer in the world. And Sri Lanka dropped to number 4. Very near future, I'm pretty sure we'll go to number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Maybe no tea in Sri Lanka. That's sad. What happened? Why it's very complicated here? Any ideas? Why Sri Lanka lose the production? How Kenya, China, India do better than us? Because still we are the only one country which pick the tea leaf all year round. Still we have the machines. Then why we can't produce?
Because we pay the workers so badly.
Even Chinese pay worse than us.
Cost of production.
Cost of production. Imagine some part of China still living in 1960s. some part of China living in 2050 because of the development. But Chinese have 1 billion people. No worries. Lot of cheap labor force. And so many big commercialized and multinational companies open their branches in China and India because they get cheap labor force. And their literacy is almost 60% compared to Sri Lanka, which is good for tea because they get cheap labor force. 90% of world tea is still picked by hand. Why is that? Why we can't mechanize it? Some part of Japan they mechanize the tea, but very difficult, very expensive. Why? Tea leaf, actually tea bush is not a bush. I hope you already know it's a tree. If you leave it, it will grow at least 10 to 50 meters high. Huge tree. So to maintain it as a bush, it's like bonsaiing it. You chop it and then you are leaving it as a bush. Always you have to pick the correct leaf to maintain it as a bush. So that's why humans need to pick it. The other thing is in Sri Lanka it's very difficult because you need these hilly areas, so you can't maintain machines in these hilly areas. So China have labor force, India have 800 million people, they have labor force, and when you go to Kenya, very cheap labor force. And when we come to Sri Lanka, not like colonial time, now things are different. They are getting better with some parts. And because when we got the freedom in 1948, up to 1948 to 1960, this is my personal opinion. So 1948 to 1960, Sri Lanka is a really good country. Second best country in Asia. But after 1960s, political corruptions. We had good politicians before that. So they introduced free education, free healthcare, which is good. I studied my school free. I did my degree in my university free. I did my master in my university free. But the problem is, so many of my friends who done masters or whatever good degrees, drain. They leave the country because they have no job opportunities in Sri Lanka. That plucking jobs never get developed. Still, they used to work like colonial time people.
Why people don't interest in making new machines? This is the
Because
modern era.
smart people never think about tea. They go for better jobs because they know they never get paid very well on this industry.
They can make small factories and
Yes.
very easy
That's
production.
very difficult to change the system because of this brain drain problem. Imagine if you go to the tea field, can you see any young person picking tea leaf right now? All the tea pickers are sad faced, dirty clothes, very old, very close to retire. When that generation retire, who's going to pick tea leaf? When we ask them, what is your children do? Oh, my children is in Korea. Or my boy is living in now Dubai. And if some people say, oh, my boy is a doctor, now he's living in Australia. Why? Because they have no good opportunities in Sri Lanka. That's sad because of I think the problem is political corruptions and some other problems also we have. But anyway, sometimes I believe that if I put all these politicians into Indian Ocean, Sri Lanka becomes very good country. But I don't know, I have no comments on that. But at that time period, because of that free education and free healthcare, our education get step by step developed. Even those immigrants become Sri Lankan after we got freedom, and their children also go to school, which is really good, which I appreciate. And then they all step by step, because society is not changing very quickly, but step by step they go for better options. Even they choose, I ride a tuk-tuk, it's better than TPK. It's that kind of attitude. It's very, really bad for tea industry. So because you pay less, because our COP, cost of production is very high, and our tea is getting more and more expensive. And if you go to normal factory, they say, I have 4,000 acres, but I only use 200 acres. Why? The rest of it is abundant. They have no people to pick it. That's a problem. So that's our tea production going down and down and down. India, Kenya, China, they don't have that problem. They have very cheap labor force. They do mass production, but Sri Lanka loses the production. So what is the solution, guys? How we survive? What is the future of Sri Lankan tea? When that old generation go home, nobody here to pick the tea leaf. Any ideas? If you have a good idea, I can use it. Okay.
Import Chinese.
That's the
It's
easy way.
already happening. No, I'm just kidding. No, you can import Chinese, but the problem is the first generation will work for tea, but the second generation, third generation, they go for a free school. They claim, oh, we born in Sri Lanka, why you can't have free school? And then they go for better jobs. We can't say no. It's good for them. Good for anybody, any human. But then, problem still remains the tea pickers. What we can do, forget about the mass production, forget about the commercialized production. Do something specialized. Target the best market. Earn more, treat workers very well, and develop their job category. They are not tea pickers. Give some responsible for them. Give some proud for them. That's what Amba did. This estate, 110 years old, belongs to colonial time. 60 years abandoned. We have big tea factory down near the river. And 2006, our present directors bought this estate, and they wanted to do like what we call it, especially tourism, not tea production. But 2006, they bought the estate, and then 2010, our first production manager, her name is Beverly. She's again from Scotland. All these British people I know. And she's my tea teacher. She came here 2010, and she's a scientist, and she's a what you call it, marketing person. And she had no idea how to make tea. She's a good tea drinker, but she had no idea how to make tea at all. And I came here 2012. At that time, I'm a uni student. I have no idea about tea making. I know how to bring tea bags. Other than that, I'm not a tea maker too. And people will think, okay, the Beverly don't know about tea, so this guy know about tea, and he come from tea family, or he have some tea idea. No, I studied anthropology and sociology. Had no tea at all, and even no agriculture, no science. I came to do research with workers. This is my home valley, so I chose this place to work because I can be in my mom after 4 years. So I chose this place. So I work with Beverly. And then we both don't know about tea. So we decided to do something crazy. Before British involved for this tea, how Chinese did it, how Japanese did it. We decided to do it by hand and target the best quality and target the best market. So we decided to do specialized handmade tea in Sri Lanka. If you believe, everybody, even our own workers thought, Beverly and I, totally crazy.
How about organic tea?
Organic also. We 2006.
Is this tea organic?
Yes.
How
2006.
how you claim?
European Union certification.
Huh?
We have European
You
Union
don't
certificate.
spray any organic?
We have EU certificate.
Artificial
certificate.
fertilizers?
No.
Or no pesticides? You don't spray?
No pesticide, no artificial fertilizer.
Really?
Nothing.
Ah.
And we have EU certificate.
That's very
European
good.
Union certificate.
How about other estates? They are spraying?
To be honest, earlier they used glyphosate, which is very bad.
That's
to
what
be
I
honest.
want to
Yeah,
ask.
Glyphosate for the weed controlling. But now I think past government banned the glyphosate. But now it's again legal, I think. I don't know.
Drinking tea means drinking glyphosate.
Exactly. Because it's easier to control weed out of glyphosate, but still it's on debate because some big plantations say we need it, some plantations say we don't need it, but we need proper rules. But again, with the political problems, it's not that easy to make those things happen. Better thing is, like us, do something specialized but boutique way. Then we can control everything easily. So here we have EU certified certification for European Union certification for organic. So we are totally organic. We do every year we have
So
inspections.
you say this is the only organic
No, I can't say that
estate?
because even there are so many other states who claim they are organic, but I don't know how they prove it. Sometimes they have Sri Lankan certifications, sometimes EU certifications, sometimes American certifications, but depend on that base. But we are not the only organic tea state in Sri Lanka. There are so many other tea states who claim they are organic, but the way they work, I don't know. And the other important thing is when we become organic certified 2009 and we start this handmade tea and we target the best quality and everybody thought we are crazy. Why? Because we target the best, first leaf and bud, and then we bring it to the factory, we process it by hand and dry it and they taste it and they sell it. When we start this system, imagine if you are tea work in a normal factory, what you do? Your whole lifetime you pick the tea leaf. If you are tea worker, you go to the tea field and you pick 16 to 20 kilos of tea per day and you get $4 for that. It's like nothing. Nobody wants to do that job. I agree. Just 16 to 20 kilos. Then you work hard, 8 hours. They can't care about the rain, they can't care about the sun, then you work hard. But here, if you're a tea picker, you go to the tea field, pick 50 gram, but best quality. You have no target. You get monthly based salaries. And you come back to the factory, and who picked the tea leaf yesterday, today they're processing it. So this is their tea. And they finish it. And then they keep the samples for tasting. But we use a secret ingredient to make this tea. I will tell you right now. Then you can use that too. That's what we use. The secret ingredient is traceability. That's very important. Every single step, whatever as a worker you do, you keep a record. When they go to the tea field, before they go to the tea field, they check weather. You have a weather station over there. You have a weather station over here. And they check the weather. It's a rainy day. It's a sunny day. How is the room temperature? How is the room humidity? Everything they recorded under their batch number. Earlier we used paper documents. To be honest, within 2 months, 2 rooms get filled with paper documents. Then we decided to computerize it. And now it's easier. And our ladies' literacy rate is really good, but computer is not that easy to train. So it took 1.5 years to us to train them how to use small spreadsheets. And now they're using it very well. I'm really proud of that. And then they take a look about the weather and they keep records every single step. So imagine you're tea picker, you go to the tea field and you pick the tea leaf and you wait and you keep the record. Which field you pick, what is the weather, room temperature, humidity, everything. And next day you come back to the factory, you press it by hand like they do. And then you finish the tea. And when you finish the tea, you keep 2 samples, one for tasting, one for filing. Tasting sample, end of the month, come to my room. I have tasting table and I have 20 or 30 tasting sample earlier. Now I have 100 tasting samples because we are a bit bigger now. And each sample I taste separately. Tea is like wine. Soil, weather, elevation, production method. All effect for the flavors. When I do the tasting, imagine I found one strange flavor on her batch. I quickly track my computer. I have all the details. How the way she picked it. Which field. Is it rainy day? Is it sunny day? Is it cloudy day? What is the temperature? Room humidity? And when they do the drying, we have power cut. So that was recorded. So all are there. So I know how to redo it. If it's good one, if it's bad one, I know how to watch it. I know it's a really simple system, but take a lot of time. It's all done in room temperature. We don't use any machines to process it. So it's small batches. And but good care and very labor intense, good care. So end of the month, we managed to produce, according to this system, 10 kilos of made black tea per month. Normal factories make 1 ton of made black tea per day. See the difference? So that's why people thought we are crazy. We're doing something stupid. Who's going to buy this? How we make money? But to be honest, 2012 we start this. 2015, this estate become sustainable and profitable estate. In Sri Lanka, 5 years means long time for sustainability. But I know it's a quick time to us. With this system, within 5 years, we become sustainable business. It's quick. And now we are not making huge money, but we know we are long-term sustainable and profitable. And I came here for 6 months. Still my 6 months is going. I already finished my studies, but still studying. But I become a tea taster, and I follow a tea tasting system, and I become a tea taster. Nice job. If you have good taste bud, try to be a tea taster. And also now I'm working here as a production manager. Beverly is retired. She's now in Scotland. She's growing tea in Scotland. Can you believe that? She's growing tea in Scotland. And she's making tea in Scotland right now. And she can even grow tea in Moon, I think. But anyway, this is how we start. In 2015, we become sustainable tea factory. How we become sustainable tea factory? Because we target the best market. We have very good 4 directors who all from so many countries like UK, USA, Uzbekistan, and Canada, all those countries. So they do really good marketing and they go for best customers all over the world. Now we sell our tea to Fordwell Mason in UK and Harney's in USA, Restaurant Norma in Copenhagen, and also Japan, China, around 27 countries in Europe. We sell our tea, and as example, Fortnum sells 100 gram of my tea for 60 pounds. It means around 20,000 Sri Lankan rupees. 400 gram, more than that. So imagine what type of customers we target. We can call fancy customers. They like good product in good price. And so now we have 2 big problems. Number 1 problem, they ask more tea, which is good problem to have. They ask, can I buy more? Can I buy more? Which is again good, but unfortunately I can't expand the business that quick, and I can't expand it this quality. So all the time when they ask more, we increase the price. There are no other choices. But imagine dollar rate, pound rate, Sri Lankan rupee rate. When you increase price, they can afford it. They say, okay, look, we have to pay more than that. But now I'm paying more, I need my tea immediately. Again, we are in big problem because we can't expand it that quick. So now It's a good problem, but it's a good problem and also it's a problem. Why? Imagine they like our tea, it can be gold, their customers asking it, we can't supply. Then they think, okay, we'll go to China or Japan or Taiwan, try to find something similar and fulfill it. Then we don't need Sri Lanka. That's bad. So what we say now, please, other companies in Sri Lanka, please copy us. Do something similar. We don't want to keep this one as a secret. Now we're helping other people. And after we start this system, another 7 factories, small holders, now following us. One from Siripad area, near Adam Street, and one from Singaraj area, one from Norelia, one from Kandy. They follow us. And they do the same hand roll tea. Like I say, they can copy us, but no worries, they make their own tea. Because flavor is different. Then we can tell Fortnum, look, I don't have that many kilos, but I have another 4 factories who do the same, but different flavor. Then you have range of Sri Lankan tea. Good for your customers, and good for them, and good for country, and good for future. This is the future of Sri Lankan tea. Small boutique specialized tea estates. And the other important thing is we can't forget about the workers. We need to give them good care. Without that care, without that proud and responsibility, they will never stay in tea. So our ladies are very proud themselves. They're tea makers now. They're not tea pluckers. They keep their records, they make their tea, they finish their tea, and I individually speak to them. Okay, look, this is your badge, and you have this problem, and that problem. This is good, this is bad. Really good. Not only that, and we pay more, at least almost 3 times more than normal factory right now. And the other important thing is, better than fair trade, we share income. We share 10% of farm income top of every worker salary. And managers, directors, even our workers, all share 10% of income. Imagine, if you're a tea worker here, if you pick 1 leaf more, your brain know 10% out of that leaf come to my salary. Very good productivity. And it's really good system. And because of that system, now we have another problem. 200 people are in waiting list to come to this estate. They ask, can we have a job there? I know it's a good problem to have again, but we don't have that much space. Now we have 100 people. We started 10 people. And we have 100 people working here. And now what we ask those guys also, please copy us. Do something similar. You don't need big machines. Our motto is we don't use any big equipment. We use very simple equipment. And all these tea machines are made in Sri Lanka. The dry made by Dr. Kapila, one of the professors at the university. And our roller made by one of the roller maintainer guy in Nayavadha tea estate. Like all homemade and Sri Lankan made machines. And anyone can copy us. It's easy. You don't want to spend money for that. You don't want to get a big loan. That's the system way Sri Lankan people do business actually. They go to bank and get a big loan. And then they start the business and next day they need profit. Otherwise they can't pay the loan. And that way you don't want to get stuck because it's very simple. You can start whatever you have, but you need to have traceability and quality controlling and good care. And also you need to treat workers very well. That way you can make very good quality tea. So now we are doing that. And now, like I say, we are sustainable and profitable, and other 7 factories are following us. And I, myself and one of my friends went to tea board and as an Amber state, and we start a new category for Sri Lankan tea called Ceylon Artisanal Tea category. Now they offer HT numbers, handmade tea numbers, which is big win because it's not that easy to convince government office to change the system, but they done it. So everybody knows me now in tea board because when I was a student, every day I go there, even tea, and everybody knows because it's headache for me. And every time I just push them. Now it's very well. So this is the future of Sri Lankan tea, specialized tea. Is it clear to you guys? So now you know the history of Sri Lankan tea, how Sri Lankan tea country. Now you know why Sri Lanka dropped to number 4. Now you know what is the future of Sri Lankan tea. In answer to your question earlier, why we can't mechanize it or why we can't use brains, why we can't do smart people. According to this system, imagine in future, because people know this get more responsibility and more proud for the job, and it's a new job category, university students will come to the tea field to pick the tea leaf, but not with dirty clothes like that way. They will come with lab coat, and they will become tea researchers. And that day, imagine, they think while they're picking, oh, can I mechanize it? Or maybe,
I wonder why they didn't do that. There are
right now they don't get
engineers
paid very well. But for this system, they will get more paid. Because imagine, right now if they go there and pick the tea leaf, Plantation company says, okay, we can't pay you more than that because our cost of production is very high. You only get $4. That's it. If you like, do it, or otherwise we can't do that. And then you know the system in Sri Lanka. But according to this system, they will come as a researchers, and then they will think, can't I use a drone and artificial intelligence to pick the tea leaves in the city areas? Maybe that happen. This is the future. Is it clear, guys? Shall we go to the tea fields then? Otherwise we get bored hearing my own stories.
Okay.
Good. So. Most famous coffee in Sri Lanka, so you can imagine. But here we have Arabica coffee in our land, 5 acre, and also we collect outgrowers coffee. We pay really good price for them, like for the cherries, and then we do wet processing here, and then we get the coffee beans, cherries, beans out of the cherries, and then we wok roast it by hand. That's how we make our homemade pan roasted coffee here. And also, in between tea, you guys can see there's so many shade plants. Not like normal tea plantation, many shade trees. Because we are very close to dry zone in Sri Lanka, Vellawai, so they have no tea in that area. So we need quite much better shade, especially because we are organic. And the other important thing is, these gliricidias are legumes. What legumes can do? They fix soil nitrogen. They contain very high nitrogen
Fertilizer,
capacity.
natural
Yeah,
fertilizer.
natural fertilizer, very good for compost too. So we use these gliricidia roots to release nitrogen into the soil for tea, and tea like more nitrogen, organically we add nitrogen into our tea using gliricidias. Rainy season, we chop the branches, stick it, it'll grow back like another tree, easy to propagate. And even the leaves, we use it for compost. We have 15 cows. We call them rescue cows. So rescue from slaughter place. And all the villagers, because there are so many villages in Sri Lanka, some people purchase the cow from slaughter place and then they give it to us to keep. And we give them really good Al Rock View hotel room over there, and then they work hard for our compost. All the night they work hard. So we bring those cow dung and manure and we mix it our gliricidia and we do the fertilizing, all organic. And especially glyceride is very helpful for our tea cultivation. We have 30 acres, we divide the 30 acres of tea into 11 tea fields. This is our number 1 tea field, this is our number 2, number 3. Normally we pick the tea leaves as a rotation. Today we go to number 1, tomorrow we go to number 2. After 11 days, we pick the same bush all year around. So that's how we do the tea plucking. Varieties here. You can see tea plant over there. That one have more kind of like brownish leaf and very matte quality leaf, and this one very oily and bigger and more green. This is VP varieties, vegetated propagated. All the Sri Lankan tea plantation mainly right now using this variety. It's developed variety. It's clones. We call it 2025 clone, 2023 clone, and they are mainly propagated by Indian Azamica variety. But those ones we call seedling tea. Those are 110 years old, 100 years old, mainly brought by British to Sri Lanka. When they bring tea to Sri Lanka, they have no idea about Camellia sinensis variety or Camellia azamica variety. Camellia sinensis is Chinese, Camellia azamica is Indian tea. When they brought tea to Sri Lanka, they both provide flowers, they do the cross-pollination, make fruit, make seed, and this is the result. Totally cross-pollinated mixed variety, which is a bit bad for the production. You can see this one have more bigger vaxial leaf, but that one have very few tender leaves. But very good for the flavors. I prefer that variety compared to this one. So I use 90% of Sri Lankan traditional tea plant. This plant bush almost 110 years old. And these bushes like 30 years old. Tea can live, how long? Normally traditional tea plant, how long that can live? Just guess. 1,000 years.
1,000
Some
years?
trees can live more than 1,000 years. Some tea trees
Still
in
they can
Burma,
produce.
China,
Still they can produce
yeah,
the.
still they can produce the leaf. Flavor is very different. It's always changing. And also some, yeah, like in China, Yunnan area, tea is like trees. They climb the trees, pick the leaf,
Really?
and they make pu'er black tea out of it. I will tell you pu'er later. But it's very interesting subject. Even one of my friend now, drawing tea, same like us. He do very special project. When you go there, you can take a look. Forest Hill Tea Farm, very close to what we call it Adams Peak Southern Steep. And early 150 years old, British start to plant tea in Adams Peak, and then they abandon it because it's never success. Now he do forest friendly tea picking in there. He climb the tree, keep the tea as a jungle, climb the tree and pick it and process tea. The tea leaf like this size. These huge trees. And those are the biggest trees, tea trees what I saw in Sri Lanka. Because I know when you go to like botanical garden, you can see big tree, but 10 times bigger than that.
Do you have any photographs of those
Yes, I will show you.
different?
I have tea flower. Now you know why tea belongs to Camellia family. It's look like a camellia flower. Baby camellia flower.
අර සින්දුවක් තියෙන්නේ.
Yeah.
Camellia.
This is tea flower. Nobody use tea flower for their production. I use it. August month, I pick the tea flower, I clean it, I dry it, I make tea with tea flowers tea. It'll make more honey and more sugary flavor into my tea. So you use the flower.
Anyway, it's
Tea fruit come out of the tea flower, and if you go to normal plantation, you never see tea fruits. Because if the tea plants provide fruit, that means plantation is not doing well. Because no good leaf, the tender leaf. But here, I like to see my tea bushes stressed. It will provide better flavor when it's stressed. But
when
less
it is
production.
stressed, they
Fruit.
produce
Fruit.
this.
And inside
And flowers and fruit both.
Yes. Inside the fruit, you have the tea seed.
Can
Nobody
we
use
eat?
tea seed.
Can we eat that, or
No, you
can't we use
you
it for?
can plant it. Okay? And when the tea seed black, you can plant it, and they can grow tea bush.
And it grows true to the parent bush?
Yeah, but it will take time.
Yeah.
So normally, when you plant a tea seed, it will take at least 4 to 6 years to get a plant, like for the picking stage.
Damn, awesome.
Good. Everybody here? Around you we have cinnamon, guys. Small plants. Sri Lanka is one of the best country for cinnamon. And we do really good cinnamon. We chop the whole plant, scrape the top skin, do one cutting in the middle, peel the middle layer of the skin, cambium of the plant, and after you harvest it, it look like small squills. After you dry it, it's rolled up like a small sticks. That's what we call cinnamon sticks. When you buy cinnamon, always buy Sri Lankan cinnamon because I'm Sri Lankan. No, not because of that. That's the best cinnamon in the world. Anyway, in front of us, can you see the middle mountain range? Just small one, just in front of us. That's little Adams Peak in Ella. And over there, clouded range. Right now you can't see, unfortunately. That's Namunukula mountain range. And here, Ella Rock, the big mountain, clouded mountain here in our side. Behind the Ella Rock, beginning of the Ella and then Bandaravala and then Badulla, this is the wet zone in Sri Lanka, wet climate, beginning of the wet climate. We are in Karandagolla, and here it's Ambadandagama and then Karandagolla. This side, east coast, Arugambe, dry climate. Southern coast, Hambantota, dry climate. When you stand here, sometimes you feel very hot breeze coming from this side. And sometimes when you're in hot room, suddenly somebody turn off on the AC, cool breeze come from this side. Can you feel it
So
right now?
nice
also?
spot,
Yeah.
nice spot to feel both.
Really, really good weather. That hot breeze stress the tea bushes, especially in drought season, and provide wintergreen flavor. Only point in world, Uva region are very famous for wintergreen tea, menthol tea. Right now, some factories put Wintergino into the roll and make wintergreen, but the correct way to make wintergreen is this system, the weather system. And this is very unique in world. And Sri Lanka is a small country. I think all Sri Lankans know about that, but especially we have big mountains in middle. So we travel always around the mountain. That's why we feel big. Otherwise, just 200 kilometer wide and 400 kilometer long. So we can easily get two breeze from east coast and west southern coast, and also cold breeze from cold area. Anyway, so this is one of the best place for unique over wintergreen flavor and good flavor for our tea. And here this is tamarind. Most people don't know about tamarind. I really like tamarind. My mom always cook with tamarind because tamarind make you more hungry because it has sour and sweet flavor. And if you use too much, that day you will stay home. It's,
Heard you.
yeah. Anyway, we have dill, fennel, coriander, chili, pepper, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, tamarind, and turmeric. All
Yeah.
those spices in number.
Here in this garden.
Not this garden. We have 3 herb gardens, and all those spices we use for tea. We make spicy flavored teas, and also we use it for cooking in our
We can
bungalows.
combine, no, make different
We
separate
make cinnamon
tea.
flavored tea, ginger flavored tea, and combined together we make sumudu chai, spice chai. All we produce here. Good. Okay, shall we go back inside of the tea factory?
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's sad because if Thomas Lipton know, he will come back and claim. Because I'm not saying you're bad, but it's a multinational company. You know, they gather all around the world tea, blend it together, packet sell it. So Lipton is not Sri Lanka, not Ceylon. It's Ceylon tar. Lipton Ceylon tar. Ceylon tar is not copyright for Sri Lanka. Good marketing.
Vanilla tea.
Wait for this. You got a leech? Oh, good luck.
Oh dear.
No, leeches carry good luck.
We didn't bring any salt here, no?
Yeah,
in
I
this
thought
trip.
like it's not that big problem. But in dry season, not at all. Only in rainy season. I don't know how they appear in rainy season. So, you got a leech? Oh, unfortunately.
I think they shrink into a ball in dry season. When it is raining, they expand.
Some
like
people
a,
say they go underneath the soil in dry season. This is a vanilla plant, just for your knowledge. You know vanilla? It's an orchid variety. The second world most expensive spice in the world. Do you know why vanilla is that much expensive? Number 1, it's an orchid, difficult to grow. Number 2, vanilla flower only pollinated by one type of bee in the world, vanilla bee. Unfortunately, that vanilla bee is extinct, almost, because of humans. Global warming, pesticide, all those problem effect. So now, vanilla pollinated by hands. Humans need to do that, labor intense. That's why it's difficult. Imagine if this problem continue, if humans destroying this system, and if all the bees goes, humans need to make their own food. All the vegetables you need to hand pollinate.
yeah, when people go on spraying like that, no
Yeah,
bees.
Definitely
So-
that will happen. Anyway, 90% of world vanilla fake chemicals. 10% come from the vanilla pot. Inside the pot, you absorb the flavor
Yeah.
out of the seed. And 5% of world vanilla come from animals. You know, animals can make vanilla. Not good for vegans, but animal enzyme. You know beaver? Beaver, Canadian national animal. Beaver make vanilla.
How come?
Do you know how? You never need to learn how. You will never eat it. Only male beavers can do that. Females
Kasturi,
can't do
like kasturi.
Like kasturi, but not that way. You know, dogs, male dogs mark their land. Beavers do the same, male beavers. It's a gland from its anal gland.
Pheromone. Pheromone.
Yes, like scent. It's a
Pheromone.
infusion.
That's
Yeah.
pheromones.
Pheromones. Okay. It's kind of like anal gland, which come from the beavers, male beavers, and smell like vanilla, taste like vanilla. Don't ask, I don't know how they invent it. Somebody taste it, but now they sell it as a Casdo vanilla. In France, Casdo means beaver. So Casdo vanilla,
Maybe it is increasing its aphrodisiac.
maybe.
Yeah, because it contains testosterone. මොකද්ද?
James.
ඒ කිව්වේ? මේම ගුලි හදනවා. එහෙම කළා? හා? ඒ කිව්වේ? හා?
So what is what are
මේම කළා ගුලි හදනවා. හදලා?
Adalah tea.
හා? ඒකට තේ වලට දාලා බොනවා. උණු වතුරට දාලා. මේව? Sure. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයාලා ඩ්‍රයි කරනවද
Why are
මේක?
they putting it into bowls?
තේ බෝල. Tea balls.
Why
දැක්කමයි.
are they putting it into bowls?
I think they are selling it like that. And we put it into
You
hot
just
water
drop
and
it
drink.
into. Oh, okay.
Novel thing, huh? Tea balls.
Everything but.
We can have your job.
Yeah,
You're fired.
Exactly. So still my friends are asking, what are you doing there? Because I'm not a tea guy. I'll have to
Swap jobs.
And so, if you go to normal Sri Lankan tea factory or if you go to big tea plantation, they pick everything tender. Even into 1 to 10 leaf, everything light green, they pick it with the stem. Otherwise, they can't fulfill their quantity. Now they pick it, first step to make black tea, you halfly dry it. Next door, I will show you, we have racks. We put the tea leaf onto the rack and then we leave it for 20 to 21 hours to half dry it. We call it withering. Because normal factory, top floor, they have big troughs. They put the tea leaf into the trough, they start electrical fan, supply heated air, halfly dry 10 ton within 3 to 6 hours. We take 20 hours to half dry 10 kilos. But after we half dry the tea leaf, after they take out 40 to 60% of water out of the tea leaf get more flexible. Okay? And this flexible tea leaf goes to this kind of bigger rolling machines. This is a tea rolling machine, and this tea rolling machine is very, very old, semi-automatic. But this is the same kind what other factories have as a larger scale. So to give you an idea. So those tea leaves goes to the machine, half dry, and press it down, and then this one is manually pressed. And then we turn on the machine, it's work like this. So this machine crush the tea leaf, chop it, bruise it, and break it. But why? Why people roll tea like this to make black tea? Any ideas? Yes, bigger quantity in a shorter time. But why is rolling?
Because when you cut, maybe some kind of bad chemical coming out, something like
Some kind of a good chemical coming out. Yes, you need to cut the tea leaf or break the tea leaf. You can't smell it, you can't taste it as it is. When you put it in the machine, it brews the tea leaf. Inside the tea leaf, we have tea cells. Imagine you have apple, fruit. Slice apple, leave it for 30 minutes. What you guys can see? It goes brown.
that. Yeah.
Because apple enzymes come
Oxidizing.
out, work with oxidized oxygen and it becomes oxidized. Same thing happened to tea leaf. It means tea leaf contain enzyme. When it is rolling, those enzymes come out and they start to react with environment oxygen and react with each other enzymes. Tea contain more than 200 enzymes inside of the tea cell. Caffeine, tannin, tea, all are inside of the tea cell. So people say, I have decaf teas. How? How you take out the caffeine out of the tea cell? No, you can't make decaf teas. You can make caffeine reduced teas. It's like bleaching. You bleach the tea, which is bad. So one reason not to drink decaf teas. Anyway, decaf is not bad for you. I will tell you later why. But especially when you do rolling, tea often the enzymes come out and then some enzymes work with environmental oxygen and become oxidized after the rolling. And then that brown color tea leaf, oxidized tea leaf, after you dry it, turn into a black color. That's what we call black tea. Easy. Pick it, crush it, dry it. Yeah, you know how to make black tea now. Is it clear? But some factories call it fermentation. Some factories call it oxidization. What is the difference of oxidization and fermentation? Any ideas?
Oxidation is reacting to oxygen. Fermentation is a biological process.
Bacterial effect.
Fermenting with some kind of sugar.
Yeah, like bacteria or some kind of like biological form. How normal factories do the fermentation? Imagine they have tons of tea. Can they spread it very thinly to get involved oxygen with all the cells? Practically they can't. They pile it. Top layer get oxidized. Middle part get heated, rusted, fermented. Bacterial effect. So that's why they call it fermentation. Both make black tea. I prefer oxidization. We have small scale production, so we do more oxidization, not fermentation. Anyway, that's how normal factories make the black tea. But one reason to understand for you guys the black tea categories, which tea is good, which tea is bad. Practically, people say BOP, FBOP, TGOP. What's the meaning of those names? BOP, broken orange pickle. Why do you call it orange pickle? Some people believe earlier Pico tea made by Chinese, that's the best category in China. Pico tea, it's come from China, the Pico name. And Pico tea sold to Holland Royal family, orange family. This Holland Royal color is orange. Orange family drink Pico tea, orange Pico tea. That's Holland store. But here the most common store says the good black tea color, see-through, crystal clear, coppery golden color, almost orange color. So orange color Pico tea, orange Pico tea. So that's the name from orange Pico. But how they make those categories according to the sizes. They pick everything into the machine. Any kind of bush, any kind of tree, best nutrition goes to topmost leaf. And high nutrition is top leaf, more flexibility, less water. See, after you half dry it, when you do the rolling, these parts stay like a big pieces, the top part. But the stem, causally, more water, less nutrition. They crush, break and make dust inside of the machine. Is it clear? According to those sizes, they sift it after oxidization. And then they clear tea categories. 12 tea categories. The worst is dust. Earlier they collect that dust into a big bin. They call it dust bin. And then they use it as a compost. Really good fertilizer. But nowadays, people are selling it.
Yes.
I'm not saying all the people, but people are selling the dust as a tea.
Yes.
I'm not saying all the tea bags are made out of dust. Most of it made out of dust.
Most
So,
of the Sri Lankan restaurants and small boutiques, they are giving dust
tea
tea.
bags. Unfortunately. Good tea
Yeah.
country, but we need to change that system. But yes, tea bags made out of dust. I'm not saying all the tea bags, but I don't know which tea bags are good. So I suggest not to drink tea bag, buy loose leaf tea. It's better for you.
But it's sometimes the dust is too strong for the plant.
No, some tea bags dust form tea is good.
The plant as a fertilizer,
Yeah.
sometimes the dust is you directly apply the dust.
Yes, that also happens.
Yeah, sometimes it burns the root even.
Fruit even. Exactly. For the as a fertilizer, they don't. Yeah, that's true. And also, the other important thing is, imagine when you go to Sri Lankan shop, I'm talking about fertilizer as a tea bags. If you go to Sri Lankan shop, nowadays some tea sold to 400 grams, sold to 500 rupees. You know, to make 1 kilo of made tea, you need to collect 5 kilos or 6 kilos of green leaf. And after you put the overhead cost and after you put the process cost, how they sell that for 500 grams, 400 rupees? So when I ask that question to some shops, they're speechless. No. That means the rubbish amount of the tea mixed with good tea and go to quantities. It's bad.
That's how the color comes in.
Yes. Yes. But we call it rubble tea.
Yes.
Rubbish tea. They put it into the good tea and then they sell it at cheap price. That's bad. But anyway, I'm not saying all the people are doing it. Otherwise, I will disappear here. Anyway, I don't want to talk too much. And anyway, this thing happened. So because of that, I don't suggest dust tea. I suggest buy loose leaf tea for good tea. And if you buy good tea, don't use milk and sugar with that. Dust tea, I just please add it. Otherwise, you can't drink tea. Or otherwise, you can't have anything in the tea. But imagine when you buy bad tea bag, cheap tea bag. Early it's very earthy, very bitter. Now some tea bags are flavored, mango flavored, ginger flavored. How do they do that? That cheap, artificial flavors. That's bad. And earlier when you put a thick tea bag into a hot water cup, thick red color cloud coming out quickly. That's not tea. That's ferrous sulfate. That's coloring. The other problem is you drink dust, artificial flavor, artificial coloring, and the tea bag made out of plastic nowadays or nylon. So you drink plastic and nylon too. Imagine your daily drinking plastic. That's bad. So I suggest buy loose leaf tea, Doesn't matter if it belongs to Amber or somebody else, don't use milk and sugar with that. It's like when I have best wine with Coca-Cola. It's bad idea. So don't use good tea with milk and sugar. Tea doesn't contain any sodium, any cholesterol, any oil, any calories. But when you put milk into it, you additionally add all those bad things into your teacup, and milk lactate is most of the antioxidant in your teacup. That's bad. And I don't want to speak about sugar because you already know sugar is bad. So that's the reason how normal factories categorize the tea. But here we only pick this part. You already saw how ladies do the rolling. Only the one leaf and one bud. The top tip. And then we in room temperature, we halfly dry, and like you saw, they wrap the leaf around the tea tip. That's how we do the rolling. And when you finish the rolling, it looks like a brown color needle. When you finish the drying, it looks like a black color needle. Like this. When you put it in the cup, it will open like a one leaf and one bud. Full leaf tea. We call it TGFOP category. What's the meaning of TGFOP? Easy to remember, too good for ordinary people. That way you can remember it when I study for my tasting exam. That's how I remember it. But the good name is Tippy Golden Flowery Orange Paper. TGFOP, Tippy Golden Flowery Orange Paper. You can take a look, and you can pass it and take a look. This is our TGOP, and this is the TGOP with tea flowers. This contains flowers with our tea. And this is tea gems. That's what tea lady is doing down there. This tea is very different. Halfly oxidized, halfly fermented. Out layer oxidized, middle part fermented. It's also black tea, but very good category. And why we do that? This went as accident here, and then we press it as a ball. Or we got tea leaf, we press it as a ball, and then when you put the cup, it will open like full leaf, like a flower. And the other important thing of this tea is portion. It's easy, and it's kind of like alternative solution for tea bag. One ball for one cup. Done. So it's all natural. And this one gives more chocolatey and malty flavor in your tea. And this is our Wangidi Pico black tea. You guys know what's the meaning of Wangidi? It's just pounding water. And earlier, Sri Lankan people used to make illegal black tea out of Wangidi. When we are in colonial time, Sri Lankan people can't afford tea. So they barely get tea. So what they done, sneak into the British estate, steal the tea leaf and bring it to the home. They don't have rolling machine. Outside I will show you, they have pounding machines. They pound the tea leaf, get the flavor out, get it oxidized, and they dry it in a wok. That way they make pan roasted homemade black tea, which we call Wangidi Pico black tea, Sri Lankan traditional pounded black tea, earlier totally illegal. Why? People are stealing it. I really like this story. I really like the name illegal. I really like the flavor. So we restarted it. Now we make Sri Lankan illegal. It's not illegal anymore, just a story. But now I sell that tea to USA, UK, especially in USA they sell it Sri Lankan Tea's black tea. Tea's black tea, really nice name, and all good tea need good storage. So we use the storage too. All good marketing need good storage. That's very important. So I like the story of illegal tea. One of our village lady told, my grandma used to make tea like this way. So why you can't use it here? Right. Now we are selling it. So this is that Wangidi tea. So this is pounded, so it's broken. Almost like BOP, broken orange pico. This is the legal tea. Very nice. Just for some, this is illegal tea. And this is our green tea. What is the difference of black tea and green tea, guys? You can say it's look different and taste different. Yes. Other than that, the production wise, any ideas? Black tea, green tea, white tea, oolong tea, all come from same plant. Different making procedure. To make black tea, you know, it's easy. You pick it and fully oxidized. But to make green tea, you pick it and you get the flavor out, but without oxidization, without fermentation. You need to chop the apple without turning into a brown color. How you do that? Any ideas?
Yeah, we can apply something like
Lemon?
yeah,
Lemon or
Kaha.
lime?
Kaha.
Yes, you can.
Mustard.
But if you add lemon or lime into the green tea, you make lime flavored green tea. And you need to add tons of lemon and lime, which is not good. And also, lemon or lime can't stop the oxidization completely. There are two methods to stop oxidization. One is Chinese method. Excuse me.
No, I'm just listening, I'm learning.
Okay. And one is Chinese method and one is Japanese method. So according to Chinese method, what they do, what we also use here firstly, we pick the tea leaf and straight away, because once you pick the tea leaf, start the oxidization. You pick the tea leaf, straight away, they go to the cooking wok. You guys know the wok. And they heat the wok over 120 degrees and they do tossing and mixing. They just heat the tea leaf over 120 degrees in a wok. Not burning it, not crushing it. It's a very difficult method. When the tea leaf temperature comes to 120 degrees, all the tea cells deactivate the oxidization enzyme. It's very easy to say, but when you're doing it practically, not that easy. So you need to judge everything by yourself. Now it's non-oxidized. Take it out of the wok, roll it, get the flavor out, finish the drying. We have a Chinese method, wok roasted, burnt coffee, caramel, smoked flavored drink.
Then what about killing other important enzymes when you do that?
That's also changing, but especially we reduce the oxidization enzyme. And the other enzymes also changing. That's why green tea gives you different type of health benefit and different type of flavor, like spinachy, vegetal compared to black tea, because of that roasting method. But Japanese people found another method which is more kind of like safer for tea and easier to produce, but flavor-wise, when you drink Japanese green tea, very vegetal, stronger, and very kind of like nutty, CBD, and hint of bitter, Japanese green tea. Why they don't do the wok method, they do steaming method. They steam it over 120 degrees, which never burn the tea leaf, and which never need to handle it. You put it in the steamer, steam it, take it out, roll it, get the flavor out, finish the dry. That's Japanese method green tea. And Chinese method green tea done by wok, Japanese method green tea done by steamer. And earlier when Chinese do green tea, sometimes they done mistakes. As a result, tea leaf get partly oxidized, partly non-oxidized. Not a black tea, not a green tea. It's in between that two. Chinese are good with marketing. They put a new name, oolong. That's the beginning of oolong tea. Oolong is one of the accident of evil, but now one of the most famous and very expensive tea. Why? How you do the same accident continuously. Not that easy. And Sri Lanka not very famous for oolong and also for green tea, but now I make oolong, I make green, Chinese and Japanese both method. And people say, okay, we can't make Japanese green tea because we don't have equipment. I use pittu bamboo, Sri Lankan breakfast maker, and I have big bamboo tree and same passion what we call murti pot, and put a pittu bamboo and then I make green tea out of it. It's Sri Lankan style green tea now. Now I export that to Japan and now I export that to China. So we can do that. We will think, okay, we don't need Chinese equipment. We can do something like similar. If we understand the logic, we can do that. No problem. So I make Chinese method green tea, I make Japanese method green tea, I make oolong. Oolong is one of the very difficult tea that I do. And last year, all year I done experiments and now I am selling it. And the other important thing is, I make flavored teas. This is my cinnamon flavored tea. This is BOP, roll in the machine and mixed with cinnamon. Cinnamon flavored tea. Ginger, it's homegrown ginger, and this one is spice chai. Today we will taste the sumudhu chai, but this is spice chai, dill, fennel, coriander, chili, pepper, cinnamon, cloves, ginger, everything inside. Sumudhu chai only cinnamon, ginger and cloves. Be careful spicy. Okay, now we know about the green tea, now we know the black tea, now we know about the oolong tea. The last one is white tea. What's the meaning of white tea? World most expensive and world most healthiest tea is white tea, and the world most easiest tea to process. You pick this tip, the bud, and then immediately dry it. You're done. White tea. Then why it's world most expensive? How many kilos you can take per day? Forget about the kilos, give it 400 grams. After you try, it's 40 grams. And the other important thing is, white tea contains world best nutrition of tea. Why? Any kind of bush, any kind of tree, best nutrition goes to the copper's plant. Logically, it contains highest nutrition. And it's natural. You pick it and try it. No processing. So it contains highest health benefit and the highest value of tea, and the other thing is highest antioxidant and the caffeine too. People say white tea have very gentle, floral, smooth flavors. So they say, oh, I drink white tea every evening because it contains less caffeine. But it contains highest caffeine. Sometimes people say I drink every evening white tea and I sleep very well. So sometimes I feel like, oh, that means caffeine is not disturbing you, your mental it is disturbing you. So white tea contains higher caffeine, but not like coffee. When you drink strong cup of coffee, it quickly boosts you. In 30-40 minutes, boost is gone. You sleep. You need another cup of coffee. But white tea release caffeine slowly and gently for longer time, not like coffee. Why? White tea contains tannin and tea. Tannin and tea block the caffeine, release it slowly, gently for longer time. So people say coffee boosts you, tea revives you because of the two caffeine releasing situation. Just for your knowledge. So caffeine is not bad for especially tea caffeine. Is it clear? So now you know about the white tea too. Good. And this is our lemongrass, not a tea, just a herbal infusion. Really, really good for your health. And no caffeine at all. Perfectly legal. If you. So this is how white tea look like. So just the tip. So people call it silver tips. Silver tip.
Silver tips.
Because of the silver color, silver tips. And they have golden tip too. So this is silver tip, but generally both are white.
What's the difference between silver tip and golden tip?
The silver tips and golden tips is very important. The golden tips, the drying and processing method is changing. Some people add the liquor of black tea and make it golden tea. That's fake golden tips. Good golden tips, processing method. And also the variety of tea also matters. Especially Camellia sinensis variety can give the best golden tips. So this silver tip 2043 and maybe variety is blue silver. That's changing according to the system and also according to the house. But both are generally white. Okay? Good. Take a look, the silver tip. And the last one is our butterfly pea flower. You know butterfly pea flower, very popular in Thailand and nowadays very popular in Sri Lanka too. Katrolu. And very popular. But I started butterfly pea flower 2012 here. And we use this butterfly pea flower. It have very high antioxidant like tea. And it's very nice color. It feels like blue color liquor. I think only natural blue color what I can found in Sri Lanka according to my knowledge. So I use this butterfly pea flower with lemongrass and I make blue color lemongrass infusion. And butterfly pea flower give very caramelly and buttery flavor into the lemongrass. You can smell it. That's white tea. Okay, good. Any other questions, guys?
lemongrass processing. මේක කපලා කෑලි වලට මේ කෑලි ටික try කරනවා නේ.